Hello and welcome to PlayStation All-Stars Battle Royale history, where today we'll be doing something a little different and taking a look at our first stage. After all, we looked at Sly Cooper in the last video, and in our very first video we looked at Sackboy, and since the two cross paths in one of the stages, let's take a look at Paris. Paris is the capital of France, the home of the Eiffel Tower, the Arc de Triomphe, the Notre Dame Cathedral and the Louvre Art Gallery. Why is this relevant? Well, it's also a major recurring location in the Sly Cooper franchise, appearing as the first main level in Sly 2 and the prologue of Sly Cooper Thieves in Time. But its importance was cemented right from the start, since it also appeared as the very first prologue in Sly Cooper and the Thievius Raccoonus. In fact, Paris in PlayStation All-Stars is based on this prologue in its entirety. Let's take a closer look. When the game loads up, we're greeted to this swooping shot of the city, which seems to be the inspiration for the intro in PlayStation All-Stars. We then witness Sly running across the rooftops, and as he does so, he jumps onto a neon sign, breaking it slightly in the process. Take a look at the side of Paris in PlayStation All-Stars and you'll notice this same neon sign, which acts as a hazard if it gets hit in the midst of the action, electrocuting fighters. It collapses in much the same way as it did during Sly sneaking in Sly 1. Back to the original game, when the player gets control of Sly, it's possible to immediately turn left and see the Eiffel Tower standing proudly on the skyline. It's pretty hard to miss a replica of the tower turn up in PlayStation All-Stars, particularly as the opening shot focuses so prominently on it. The first order of business was to sneak around a water tower on the rooftop, and this same tower seems to be on the stage in PlayStation All-Stars as the highest platform fighters can reach. Sly then had to jump across a couple of wobbly TV aerials to reach his goal. These same wobbly aerials make an appearance in PlayStation All-Stars and are just as wobbly as ever. One thing to note is that the aerials on the water tower have switched position for some reason, especially when we look at the next detail. Sly's goal in the prologue was to infiltrate Interpol HQ, which he did by reaching an elevated section of roof and entering the air duct here. It's recognisable as Interpol HQ because their logo sits so prominently on the side. This same logo appears on an identical elevated section of roof on the right hand side of the stage in PlayStation All-Stars, further cementing the fact that this stage is the prologue of Sly 1.
Ready? Fight!
Getting some unusually strong ratings from the upper levels of the shop.
When the fighters get comfortable in the cool Parisian nighttime atmosphere, in comes a gigantic vacuum cleaner monster that shoots lasers and demands to be fed. What on earth is this thing? This thing is the Negativitron, the main antagonist of Little Big Planet 2. Negativitron invaded Sackboy's world to suck up all the happiness and creativity and replace it all with negativity. Sackboy couldn't let that happen, and so he ventured forth to unplug the horrible Hoover. The Negativitron boss fight was fought in 3 phases. The first saw Sackboy rolling around in a robotic hamster vehicle, attempting to hit targets on the Negativitron while avoiding his blast. The second had Sackboy using his grappling hook to stay above a pool of plasma, waiting for the Negativitron to stop sucking up parts of the environment so that you could leap on him. The final phase had you dodging the Negativitron's lasers and then throwing cakes at his weak points. Many of the Negativitron's attacks made their way into PlayStation All-Stars. The lasers from the third phase are a prominent example, with the monster shooting plasma beams in a fan formation. The easiest way to dodge them in Little Big Planet 2 was to stand in a corner and merely jump the lasers that came near you, which is a tactic to avoid them in All-Stars as well, but the much larger area of Paris means you can just run away. Sometimes the Negativitron will slam down on the ground, causing AP to drop out of any player who gets hit. This was also an attack in Little Big Planet 2's final phase, which the Negativitron would do whenever he'd finished shooting the beams. Finally, the Negativitron will also vacuum up elements of the stage, which can also affect players. The Negativitron did this in the second phase of the boss fight, but could also be seen doing it in other parts of the game as it sucked up parts of the world. The large purple aura seems to be taken from the first phase of the boss fight. One last thing to note about this mashup is the backdrop that slides in with the Negativitron's appearance, which is the same backdrop that appears during the final phase of the boss fight in Little Big Planet 2. Why they added this I don't know, since it seems a bit jarring to have a whole new backdrop sliding behind Paris, but there it is. So that's Paris. I hope you enjoyed this brief insight into the first of many stages and expect to see more in the future. However, next time we'll be back with another character, so stay tuned for that.